We are back and we are joined by Kate Willett, comedian and actress whose new comedy special Loopholes is out right now. It just came out a few days ago and you can watch it on Apple TV or Amazon. Kate, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've known you through Twitter for a while. I watched a bit of your special this morning. Thanks for sending that over. I was laughing quite a bit.
Oh, thanks.
You've got some great stuff on feminism. Refreshing to hear because I love my coworkers, but I'm surrounded by dudes all day. So any female-led content, and I'm also a huge sports fan. So I need some good female laughs on occasion. Everyone should check out your special. It's really really
Th-
funny.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's good also because you're political, right? Like you decide to take on political issues or social issues head on. Is that what's your experience being a comedian that chooses to kind of engage with politics or big issues like that?
I mean, yeah, that's complicated because, I don't think it's helpful from a career perspective. I'll tell you that.
Right.
There's definitely a reason, why you see, a lot of comedians and other people in the entertainment industry, not really talk about politics that much, except for maybe like promoting, Democratic Party, vote against Trump or whatever, because it's like the more you're political, at least on the left side, like the more that you alienate the people that are in a position to, sign your paycheck, So I do think there's probably more like secret left-wing beliefs among people in
Right.
the entertainment industry than you think. Like a lot of people are very like socialist sympathetic, and I think there were a lot of secret Bernie supporters. But like when it comes to being like right-wing, there's no consequence for that at all. Like if anything, that's like it's a career skyrocketer within a certain circle.
Right.
Sorry, I have to jump in here, Kate. Like I remember, like I'm curious about the like kind of the crests and the troughs of politicized comedy because I saw a lot of like maybe right wingy guys complaining about people in the left wing comedians in the Trump era getting political all of a sudden, and on a I can understand from a purity standpoint a comedian saying something like that, but I also see a lot of these guys now going on different platforms to be like, hey, why are migrants allowed to punch cops now? And they make content out of that. So like they just get like you said, like you can get right wing and all of a sudden it's not getting political. It's just like observing the world all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the exact same explanation that you would think, which is that, left wing viewpoints challenge power and right wing viewpoints support them, But I also think that there's kind of been like different comedy trends that are popular. I think that during the pandemic, like more right wing comedy really skyrocketed. And like one factor in that literally was just that a lot of the like empathetic we were quarantining, like we were in our house.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
like the more kind of like f COVID guys, like they were out there performing. And I don't want to paint with like too broad a brush because it's not like there's degrees of this. Like it's not like everybody who is political in any way in comedy is super right wing or anything. Like that's not the case. There's a lot of just like liberal people who maybe don't even think about politics that much, but like they definitely support the right to choose. They definitely like stand with LGBT people. So it's definitely not all one thing.
Well, I mean, there's something interesting though because we were chatting about this, I think, maybe a few months ago when Stavi, and I can never say his last name,
Halkias.
Halkias. I loved his special. He's great. Like he went on Joe Rogan, and he has good left wing politics, but Rogan kept
Yeah.
trying to get him to say like these migrants are like they're what's your take on that? I mean, kind of Rogan centering himself with a lot of big name comedians that lean right, and there's almost just like this. I think that might contribute to the hesitancy, getting an opportunity to platform your work on his show. Like it it's kind of a big deal right now for a certain subset of entertainers, comedians.
Yeah, I mean, it's with like Rogan specifically. I think that like I honestly don't think that it's like he is not having people on his show because they're like liberal or left or anything like that. I think it just has much more to do with like who actually like knows each other
Right.
in that kind of particular community, which does have a lot of right-wing beliefs in it, but not exclusively. Like to me, it's much more of like a scene versus a like ideological test, if that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
And the scene for leftists who say, like yourself, who are speaking out about Gaza, I mean, in the entertainment industry, what's that like right now?
I don't really know. For myself, like I have, I've worked within the industry at various points. I've, made stuff myself in a more DIY way at various points. And like, I think for me, it's always been a priority to just be myself, both like in my work and in real life. And then just like, if there's times where that leads to like, I got to produce my own stuff, then that's fine. I will live with the consequences of that, but for a long time, I think, speaking out about Palestine, has been like the most career ending thing that you could possibly do within the
Right.
entertainment industry. And that may be changing right now. I think it is to some extent, because I don't think that like regular liberals are really on board with this level of mass slaughter at all,
I think it is changing. I mean, I don't pretend to know everything about the industry, obviously, but I do see that. I mean, the backlash Marissa Barrera. I think I'm saying her name right, or is it Melissa? Melissa.
I think it might be Melissa. Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't
Melissa.
familiar with her work.
Yeah, she just had a movie that came out, a horror movie that killed it at the box office. I think it was at Abigail. One of the I don't follow horror, so I don't remember. So I'm kind of speaking off the cuff, but she did well. Like the movie did well, despite a lot of bad press about her Gaza stance, and
Yeah.
that might be a signal to some people that hey, you can maybe begin to start speaking out about this, even if it makes you a little bit scared, because the box office consequences that seem probably a lot of people were worried about just didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah, and the more people who like, the more people who are like really famous that speak out, like the easier it becomes, I think, for other people who are not at that level of career stability. Like, I don't agree with every single take he's ever had, but I do really appreciate Mark Ruffalo's advocacy, Susan Sarandon. There's a comic named Joel Kim Booster who is so funny. And, he's been very vocal about Gaza. And I do think it's starting to change. Boots Riley is another one who comes to mind. He's not a stand-up comic, but he is, I think, an open communist who very much gets stuff made within the entertainment industry. And that to me was just like, that was unimaginable,
Right.
just a few years ago.
So Kate, how'd you get your start? Where are you from? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I started in San Francisco Bay Area. I'm a Californian, born and raised. I moved to New York about 7 years ago, and I started stand up in the Bay Area scene, which is it's a very fun scene. It's very like it's like, it's weird in the California way. Like you'll be on the same show with like a trapeze artist or something, or like a clown troupe, So I started there, moved to New York, I think in like 2017. And I think I did a lot of like theater stuff before stand up, but it ended up being like a lot of like interpretive dance kind of stuff in basements. And it was funny, but I did not know that. And
funny in a different way. Yes.
Yeah. Once I started like being on board with being funny on purpose, I think that, that has been a better direction for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing comedy? What should people know about your special? All that good stuff.
I've been doing comedy, I guess it's probably like 11 or 12 years at this point. This special is something that I wrote, some of it right before the pandemic, some of the stand-up, in the year before we quarantined, and then some in like the year or two right after. And I think, at this time in my life, when I was writing this material, I was very much thinking about, like, what does it mean to be an adult woman? Because it clearly looks very different, than it did for like, my boomer parents or whatever, but we've had all of these kinds of like viewpoints, kind of debated in the public sphere, like there was like the very like lean in type of feminism that was really hot for a while, and then we got like the trad wife thing, and I ended up like thinking a lot about that stuff, but then also thinking about like how it applied to my own life, because I during the pandemic went from being like on the road by myself all the time to like all of a sudden like, wait, I'm like in my house cooking dinner for a guy every day. What the hell,
Right.
And yeah, and so I don't know. It just ended up being like, I think, a mixture of personal and also political stuff for me, but a lot around issues about like domesticity, feminism, and just plenty of like sex jokes as well.
Oh, those are always fun. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you have kind of a similar anxiety that I do as somebody who speaks out about politics or put yourself out there with your opinions and you stand in front of a microphone. I often feel this just like nagging voice in the back of my head that I'm always trying to brush away. Like, you should be more docile. You're being a little aggressive. You're being like somebody, this is not really what a woman should be doing, or ladylike.
Yeah.
And I still deal with that. I mean, I just turned 30 and I just thought I'd grow out of it at this point. But it's that I feel like every woman to a degree has a level of that anxiety. I mean, was that something you were wrestling with what you explored in your special?
Yeah, I think that was something that was a huge concern for me when I was just a tiny bit younger, like especially my late 20s, early 30s. That was kind of when all of this like I don't know, I want to say like men's rights rhetoric like started rising in the culture. And like this idea that like to be an attractive woman you have to be like feminine, submissive, and obviously like that's an old idea. Like these incel characters like didn't come up with it, but it's like this thing about like it's kind of being resold to people now. And I think even though I never believed in that stuff on an ideological level, like it did kind of get in there and caused a lot of anxiety for me. I wrote a lot about that in my book that's on Audible, Dirtbag Anthropology, which is another thing you can check out if you have an Audible subscription. But no, I totally relate to that. I don't feel it as much anymore. And I think that the reason is because I just finally like made a life where I just have so many people that are just so supportive, but the pressure to like, kind of turn down your light as a woman is right. So much. Yeah.
It really is. And then I think that also informs the reaction to when women don't turn down their light and they're outspoken. And then you see that blowback of why, oddly, I was going down an old wormhole about Rosie O'Donnell, who I think I was reminded because she's been posting about Gaza a lot. And I just really appreciate that about her. She's such a passionate person. And that whole time when she was on The View for that short period and was a bit of a firebrand, completely right about Iraq, by the way. Fox News talked about her all the time. Like, I remember just being in high school, Rosie O'Donnell was a punchline just to make like a woman who was heavyset, or a woman
Leno
who
would
was,
have a monologue joke about her every night, basically.
Right. Well, oh God, that guy's the worst. And it was her gayness, her being a lesbian, her being outspoken, or she would call herself a fat lesbian, right? Like it was all of these things that triggered the misogyny of the right and their obsession with maintaining these gender roles.
Yeah.
And I just I look back at those old clips and it's like, oh, she was the only reasonable person on that whole panel. And Trump Trump talked about her in 2016. Oh, that she was a fat pig. It's crazy how enduring it is.
It's so crazy. Like with Rosie O'Donnell specifically, like I never really thought about her except for like, oh, she's a really funny actress. And then when Trump brought her up, like as a, like she's like enemy number one, I was like, what the hell? Like I've been not thought about this person for years. Where is this coming from? But yeah, I do feel like there's been like a few iterations of like, powerful Republicans, like just kind of explicitly trying to like, not just through laws, like the abortion stuff, but also like through, culture and speech, trying to like, tamp down any sort of feminist impulse.
Right, exactly. Well, to support the feminist impulse, one could check out the comedy special Loopholes that Kate did. It's on Amazon, Apple TV. It just came out just a few days ago. Anything else you want to say about it, Kate?
It's fun. It's pretty short. It's like 45 minutes long. You can also watch it on YouTube. You can buy it on YouTube. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, Kate.Willett with 2 L's and 2 T's. That's where I post my tour dates, and I travel around the country all the time performing stand-up. So, would love to see you guys at some shows. It's great to talk to you guys in real life today because I listen to the show almost every day. So it's usually a one-way relationship, whereas this is
all right. Well, we've opened up the lines of communication. We've crossed the parasocial threshold into the we're close to social. We're not in person yet, but maybe soon. Kate, thanks so much for your time today, and we'll put a link to your special wherever people are listening to or watching this. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.